Hey guys, this is Per Nilsson from your favorite band Scar Symmetry. You're listening to Metal Wani and Metalholic. Stay heavy. Hey dude, this is Per Nilsson.
Oh, wonderful, brother. How are you doing?
I'm good, how are ya?
I'm doing good. What can I say? I mean, it's your 10th anniversary, so I have to congratulate you and the entire gang. So you've seen all the ups and downs. How has been the journey so far?
Well, we have some ups and downs, like everyone has. But I think that we've just survived our you know, second lineup change,
Right.
and I think we came out on the other side of the lineup change with our heads up and our feet down. So
True.
yeah, it's been a hell of a ride.
Right now, since you guys are celebrating it with your new larger than life album, The Singularity Phase 1 Neohumanity. Now, this album, after listening to this, one thing is for sure, it has only heightened my admiration for Scar Symmetry.
Oh, thank you.
How has been this entire journey? I mean, I had no idea that where you guys planning to make a full length album, but I think you guys felt like you need to create some sort of a concept album, a larger than life album. So it kind of reminds me of Devin Townsend's Ziltoid album.
Yeah. I I I guess I could understand where the comparison comes from.
True.
Uh, yeah, and I mean, I I really like I like for metal music to be as you said, larger than life. I like it to be uh, like a good horror movie or science
Uh-huh.
fiction movie. I like for it to be something outside of your ordinary day-to-day life.
True.
Yeah, and I mean that's what Devin did with Siltoid, and I mean
Absolutely.
it's something that we've done with every album, to some extent. We've always have sort of nerdy concepts with
Right.
aliens and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, since you guys, started working on this trilogy as he announced earlier this year, this album, the first phase, deals with a lot of, theme behind transhumanism. So
Hmm.
this is more on the level of improvement of human bodies as at an individual level. So if you can explain us the thematic premise of the album, that'll really be great.
Uh, the premise is that in the future we will have the like a new race of humans will emerge,
Uh-huh.
what we refer to as the neo-humans, and this is basically people who start to adding no artificial components to their bodies.
True.
Yeah, I mean it's in a way it's already started, with people having artificial hearts and stuff.
Artificial
We've
brains.
Yeah, so at some points it's going to be more and more of that, and people are also going to be able to expand their intellectual capabilities with brain computer interfaces
Cool.
and stuff like that. So these neo humans, they will be, in many ways they will be superior to the ordinary humans,
Hmm.
and in on our album we talk about that these neo humans, that it's it's a little bit like the stuff that we talked about on our previous album, with the new world order and the secret world government, and this is a little bit like that only the very wealthiest and richest and most powerful, they are going to use this technology to the fullest, and for to create a new world order for their own purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas many people won't be able to afford, to upgrade their bodies,
Right, right,
and some people will oppose all of this new stuff for ethical or religious or other reasons.
right.
So, and I mean, all of this is gonna create a very new reality on Earth. It's gonna be very disruptive for human culture, because we're gonna have the neo-humans, and we're gonna have uh, like artificial intellects, like
Right.
machines, like androids that have intellectual capabilities that equals or even far greater than
Mm-hmm.
humans.
So does it
And
mainly focus on a divide between those who embrace the new technology and those who oppose it?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, all the people who can't afford or opposing it, they will, it's gonna create great conflict on Earth.
Right, right.
So, I mean, in our storyline, it ends up in more and more conflict, and then all out war in between these fractions.
Absolutely. I truly understand that. Now, since the lyrical concept is on is on a higher level, it's more complex. It's really got to the music which a band writes definitely needs to make sure it's on par with the concept. So this would have been a great pride for you guys, mainly you, because you have written this album in its entirety. So how special can it be for you, Per?
Uh, well, I have never been as proud of any thing I've done in my musical career as how proud I am of this album.
I understand.
Yeah, and but it was, I mean, it took a lot of time and effort to write and record it,
Hmm.
but it wasn't hard.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Uh, Henrik and I, we started talking about the idea of doing a trilogy,
Hmm.
because we have done just albums for such a long time that we wanted to do something else.
Hmm.
Actually, at first the idea was to do 3 EPs, to do a trilogy of EPs.
Okay.
Like 25 minutes or so each
Right.
EP.
Yeah. 3 to 4
Uh,
songs.
yeah. So, but then as soon as we started, talking about doing the technological singularity and neo-humanity and write about that,
Hmm.
then we realized that we need more time. We need to do more songs. But
Absolutely.
anyway, Henrik came up with a synopsis. So he had a 3-part synopsis. So that we still, that we've been using. So when I started writing the songs for the first album,
Hmm.
I had I had a pretty elaborate storyline for the first album, and
Okay.
I have it for the next 2 albums as well.
Cool.
And he also came up with a bunch of ideas for song titles
Right.
that I also have for the next 2 albums.
Wow.
So not only did I have that as a sort of framework for this album, but I could also look at have a sort of start to sort of fantasize and build a vision of how I want it for the next two
Going to
albums to
proceed
sound.
further. Right.
Yeah, so I have a sort of a basic idea of what the next 2 albums are gonna be like, and
That's
and that
amazing.
meant that I mean I know we have this storyline, and this storyline ends in disaster and war.
Right.
So the next album is gonna start in this disaster and war,
Hmm.
and it's gonna go places from there. But a lot of the next album is gonna be darker because it's a darker storyline.
Yeah. It's the ending of the trilogy.
What's that?
It's the ending, the third phase of the trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I know that I know what I want to do for the next album. So that means that I mean the direction that this first album is going into, then I can go even further into that direction because I know that this album, I can make this as melodic and progressive as I like to. I don't have to, think too much about not having enough aggression or brutal parts,
Right.
because there's gonna be a little bit more of that later. So I can
Okay.
really, stretch out into prog land on
Right.
this album. So yeah, so that it was very, very helpful and a lot of fun actually.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, since Jonas left the band last year, I'm sure a lot of responsibility came on your shoulders, to make sure you write this flawlessly. So, were you kind of a bit pressurized while writing the album, or was it like a natural approach, right? Just write whatever Per, can basically come up with.
I think it was this was the album that was had the least, it put the least pressure on me in a
Wow,
way.
that's
I
cool.
mean, now that the album is gonna come out, I feel a bit of pressure since I mean, in a way, this is very much my album since
Absolutely.
I wrote every single note. I don't think there's one single note that someone else, had the idea for.
Right, right.
So, and I mean, I play all the guitars and the keyboards. I
Keyboards.
actually sing quite a lot on the album as well. I sing like 80% of the backing vocals, and
Right.
I sing a few lead parts as well. Uh, and then I mixed and mastered it. So it was really my creative effort in many ways. And I think that on the previous albums, like on the first album when Christian he contributed with some of the vocal arrangements,
Right.
and but Jonas and I all we always came up, with like the basic songs, and and I always, had Jonas when I wrote a song. I always had in mind, what is he gonna think about it,
Right.
and I'm sure that he had that for with me as well. So it was always the case of him and me having, to put our songs through the
Together.
other guy's creative filter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so he could say to me like, "This part sucks," and I could do the same thing with him, and sometimes we helped each other, change stuff around a bit,
That's
not
pretty
too
cool.
much, but a little bit. So this time around, I didn't have that restriction, and obviously, it can be really good to have second opinions.
Absolutely.
Someone to tell you that you fucking suck.
Right, I
But
totally understand.
I didn't have it this time around, and that made it was incredibly liberating.
Right.
It was like
Now you could
I
spread your
had
wings easily.
I had all the colors, I had a canvas, I could, paint whatever I wanted, and no one could say anything.
All right. That's really cool. Now, while listening to the album, I felt like, there are a lot of space-like elements, space-like synthesizers, and also the vocal parts are, maintaining a perfect balance between harsh as well as clean parts. So, in terms of arrangements of vocals between you, Robert, as well as Lars, how did you guys manage to make sure, everyone gets piece to basically shine out?
Uh, that's also something that, it's just happens. I think because most of the time I write all the riffs and the guitar parts and a lot of the keyboards. I often write that first,
Hmm.
and then I record a demo of the song. And sometimes I have, a few ideas for vocals, but usually I don't think too much about vocals until the song is finished, and then I just sit down with a microphone and I just sort of sing stuff that just feels right to me.
Right.
I don't give it too much thought, and usually if I like Limits to Infinity, the first part of the verse is clean vocals. I just thought that okay, I'm gonna have a clean melody, and then when it's a break and the next part of the verse hits in and it's harder and heavier. It's
Right.
just it just makes sense to have
Harsh vocals.
harsh vocals, and then it continues like that. Often it ends up like that of itself. That
Absolutely.
I've had cleans for a while, and then I get, just I'm longing to hear the harsh stuff
All
again,
right.
and so it's a
That's
thing that just happens.
That's really amazing. Now, what about your guitar solos on this album? I lost the count of basically trying to figure out how many amazing solos can Per come up with, but you just, mesmerize my brain.
Oh, thank you. Well, I actually, uh, I mean, there's a lot of guitar leads on the album. When I wrote the songs, I didn't think that it was, that much guitar playing, because like Limits to Infinity, it's one guitar solo.
True.
It might be quite long, but it's not super long. And especially in the past when both Jonas and I played solo, and a lot of songs we both play solo. So, uh, but then I just was curious. I imported the whole album in a Cubase project, and I
Mhm.
cut out all the solos and,
Right.
and put them next to each other. And I checked how
They're gonna
long it will
sound.
be.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that the guitar leads, they take up 19.7% of the playtime. So it's
Wow.
one fifth of the album is guitar solos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Per. Now, what are the plans of taking this album live? Because ultimately, fans are going to cherish it on CD, but live as well. So, what are the plans of making sure you bring that sort of, sci-fi atmospheric vibe live on stage?
Yeah, it's always a bit tricky, to put your albums out on stage, because the stage is it's such a different beast.
True.
I mean, on the albums we can we can layer how many vocals as we want, and we can have all sort of things. And then when we come up on stage, where it's just six guys,
Right.
and we like to have a little bit of energy to our shows, and have a lot of fun. So for when we play live, it's not as nearly as much about technical perfection and stuff like that we
Right.
have on the albums. So live, we're more of a rock and roll show.
Rock and roll. True. That's what live music is meant for. I mean, you can't just go super technical live, just making sure that you want to keep everything precise. That's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we try our best, to play and sing well, and some of the layers that we use. I mean, we have all the keyboards on backing tracks, because I mean, we can't afford bringing a
Bunch of guys.
yeah, one more idiot with us. It's enough to be six guys. I mean, now we're five in the band now, but we're using session guitar players to have two guitar players live.
Right. That's amazing, Purple. I'll end the interview on a very simple question for you. Define the first album of this trilogy in just one sentence. Defining Singularity, Phase 1, Neo-Humanity in just one sentence.
Uh, Hold on. Uh,
Thinking mode on?
uh, wow, that's a hard question. Uh, I think that the Singularity is like Cannibal Corpse and Toto having a love child being delivered by Dream Theater.
Wonderful, but I mean,
Yeah.
this is probably the most epic and amazing answer I have ever heard from a musician. Thank you very much, for you kicked ass on this, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. I look forward to see you guys live. I don't know whether your plans of coming to India, but let me tell you something that you have thousands of fans here and they are waiting for you to come over here. Now, with this new album, I'm sure you'll be touring everywhere. So I look forward to at least see you guys here in India.
Yeah, I hope to come. We've had a few offers during the years, but it's always something else has been in the way.
Mhm.
So at some point we're gonna come.
That's absolutely true. Well, Bert, thanks once again. Spared precious time today here on Metal Money. It's been an honor, and I really look forward to see this album, shining and just reaching charts everywhere in world.
Thank you, thank you.